All right.
Go
Yes.
ahead, B.
All righty. All right, everybody in Jets and Baldwin Bruin land, welcome to the BKBK podcast where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. So, guys, today the Jets reeled in their second win in a row, right? Last week. And then today we were humbly brought back down to earth as the Jets lost to the Minnesota Vikings by a score of 37-17. And to be honest, we came in a bit handicapped, just to be very fair about it. We have three of our starting DBs, and if you include the nickel defense, which we should nowadays in the modern era of football, usually most people start with that defense. And we had three of them out. We had our safety out, we have Tremaine Johnson out, and we have our starting nickel defender out as well. And then, if you think about it, our wide receivers. We've been handicapped in that area as well. Terrell Pryor is gone. He was cut from the team because he had a groin tear. Um, and then we have Quincy Enunwa, who's out. And, we kind of came in limping in somewhat, but
Making a lot of mistakes right now, or
yeah,
or or, or
making a lot of
excuses.
mistakes.
Excuses. Sorry, excuses.
Yeah, excuses, but you know what? There are no excuses for the way that we played today. So I just want to just be able to talk about all of that with the team, BKBK, and who wants to start this one off for us?
Well, first of all, let's just take a quick poll. How many people picked this as a win when we did our predictions in the beginning of the year?
Absolutely not.
Not I, said the fly.
Nah, not me either.
Not me.
All right, so and we all made that prediction based on the fact that we were going to be at full strength. So, before we start any conversation about actually what went down today with the combination of our starters and our JV, we were realistic about this being a tough game against a tough playoff team from last year in the NFC, which has improved since last year too, especially at the quarterback position. With that said, there's a lot of things that didn't go right today, but we all did kind of have a realistic view about how this game was going to go.
I'll be honest with you. Realistically, I did think that we were going to do a better job. I did think that we were going to just perform better, even with the backups, because I felt like the team as a unit was coming together, and I believe that I've talked about that in prior podcasts. I just felt like in a positive way that we were kind of congealing together, and today we looked a little disjointed.
I agree.
Sam Darnold had a terrible day. He did not have a good day. I felt like he had adequate protection too. I've seen him have a lot worse protection. He has good pocket presence, but I also think that some of his throws were just frankly off. They were sailing a little bit too high, a little bit too far. Sometimes he was just inaccurate today. And to couple that with just not having his usual guys in there just made it borderline impossible for him to make a comeback in as far as being like a quarterback on the ascension, to be able to come back and beat a team that most people have predicted is going to make a Super Bowl run.
So,
And also,
go ahead,
and
Gabby.
and also, I kind of really wanted to stick it to two people on that team.
Of course.
Kirk
I know
Cousins,
who they are.
Kirk Cousins, because all these people, get Kirk Cousins, and some of them are in our team. But hey, you know what? This is why we have the show, because we can argue and we can debate. But I so did not want him, and I'm very happy with who we have. But I wanted to stick it to him, and then also I wanted to stick it to Sheldon Richardson, who made a nuisance out of himself, especially his last year here with the Jets, and then moved on to, I believe, Seattle. And then after that, now
Minnesota.
Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah,
so I
he's on
kind
a
of wanted to stick
prove-it
it to
deal.
those people.
Yeah, he's on
But
a prove-it deal
instead,
this year.
but instead we got stuck.
I mean, so I think there's a couple things we talk about a lot. It's not that we lose; it's how we lose. That really affects how you feel about the team, and this game was kind of representative of that. So with the turnovers, I thought the secondary held up well the majority of the game, even with a lot of those folks out. So kudos to them for that. But it's really just how we lost the game, turning the ball over, not taking advantage of the opportunities. It wasn't just Sam Darnold out there. I mean, it was Tomlinson dropping a pass, Crowell dropping a pass in the same series. Dropping a pass, and that was like 15 yards here, 10 yards there when we were trying to drive and kind of string things together. So I think a lot of things and a lot of people just didn't have their A game. If we go in there and we lose 40-27 and we lost to a better team, but we didn't turn the ball over 4 times and we caught the balls that we were supposed to catch, then fine. You can kind of walk away feeling good about yourself because you hung in there, and you did for like 3 quarters. You hung in there with a team that went to the NFC Championship game last year, but then after that, you unraveled completely off the rails. Darnold was included in that, and you said it. I mean, the passes after that point, I don't know if he felt like we weren't in the game and his energy just wasn't there and focus wasn't there, but you just saw the balls going where normally they don't go as far as Sam Darnold is concerned. So that's really my thought on it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. But what I would say is, I was just as upset with the drop balls, which occurred in the third or fourth quarter?
I think both the third and fourth quarter.
Third and fourth quarter. But what I would tell you is I am pretty upset with how Darnold played from the beginning of the game. And when I say that, I'm specifically referring to how he was trying to fit balls into very tight windows. He's got to get out of that behavior. And he's confident in his ability to do so. But what it does is it puts him in predicaments where the tip pass occurs. And there were a couple of times where the defensive backs on the Vikings missed, the tip ball or the first tip should have been intercepted and may have been dropped. And the other behavior that I think he has to get out of is not setting his feet and trying to throw off his back foot. He's not getting enough velocity on the ball.
I agree with that.
Where some of the receivers are open, and I'm specifically talking about Robbie Anderson, the play he got hurt. And the play where he threw it up to Robbie in the middle of the field, and it was a little short, but Robbie could still make a play on the ball and ended up dropping it when he landed on the receiver.
So you don't think he made a good throw on that one?
I think what it was that the trajectory was off because he was throwing off of his back foot. I
agree with Kerry because that ball tends to sail. And he already he's got a borderline unorthodox release, if you've noticed. And then when he doesn't set his feet, I noticed that his ball sails a little bit farther up. And then it kind of takes a little bit longer to drop down, and it usually doesn't drop in the right place that we want it to. He does that.
Well, I agree with that fact holistically. I'm just talking about that play. That play in particular, I think, the one in the middle of the field, I thought was a good play. I just think that the wide receiver is supposed to come down with the ball.
He's supposed to come down with the ball. Again, it's
2 hands on it.
A wide receiver makes his money on 50-50 balls, and that ball is where he should have made his money.
Yeah.
And we can go into whether or not I feel like we should try to resign this guy. He's a restricted free agent next year.
Hold on a second, Kerry. We haven't named names yet, so I mean. Go ahead and name this person's name instead of calling him this guy. I want to hear it.
Put it out there.
Anderson. It's Robbie.
Ooh, Robbie, huh?
It's Robbie. Yeah. I mean, I like Robbie, but again, and I was having a conversation with Brian off camera about, whether or not we re-sign this guy, given his off the field antics and his inability to do what he's supposed to be doing, and that's to create separation and consistently create separation and come down with those 50-50 balls.
Well, I would say this. I mean, obviously we lack talent there, and Anderson is an incomplete wide receiver.
Absolutely.
But take him off the team,
and we got a problem.
And tell me where we're going to get points from.
No,
in
we're
the
not.
Passing.
We're not. I'm not debating that. What I'm concerned about is his development, and is he going to get better? Are we going to pursue him, in free agency or restricted free agency?
I
No.
think I think we should pursue him. Should we break the bank?
No,
No, I do not.
no.
I think Robbie Anderson. Actually, I kind of disagree with Kerry a little bit. I think he does have actually really good hands. Um, if you remember that first touchdown catch in the Detroit game,
Yep.
that was a great catch, and I've seen him
Absolutely,
make
absolutely.
great catches
Donald threw
last
him
year
open.
too.
Donald threw
Yes.
him open. I would absolutely agree with that. It
Right.
was an interception that he pulled out of the defender's hand. I will give you
Yes.
that. But my question is again, do those types of receivers make their money on the 50-50 balls? Or
Right.
is he consistently getting to those 50-50 balls? And I would say no.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
I would
Fellas.
say
oh man, go ahead, Kyle.
And again, that's another.
yeah.
Again, let me complete
Go
my
ahead.
point. But that's another issue for another day. We can debate that till the cows come home. I want to still focus on what I saw in this game. What I did like, or what I did like from Donald is his escapability. And when he was able to and focused on setting his feet after escaping, he made some accurate throws on the run. But again, we were understaffed, and when you're missing 3 defensive backs in your secondary that are starters, those next guy up, has to perform. And Roberts, the first touchdown that was in the end zone.
Yeah,
The Thielen, right? Was it Thielen that caught
yeah, I was
that?
stealing.
Yep.
He was there. So he was in position to make the play. I'm not going to be upset with him in that. And he made some very good plays in the first half, leading up to the end of the first half. So, we're going to have to, we are in a position where we thought we had we were in a position of some surplus with regard to secondary help, meaning, defensive backs, safeties, and cornerbacks. These got Parry Nickerson,
Well, let me ask you a question though. Is the secondary? And we're spending a lot of time talking about them right now. Is
Right.
that why we lost the game?
It isn't.
No.
It isn't why we lost the game. It isn't why we lost the game because of, I think we were just understaffed, and our quarterback play wasn't great, and we didn't give him enough help. Defense didn't play that poorly. They played very well in the first half.
For
We had
3 quarters, they played very
three
well.
turnovers, and they came away with no points.
let's hear what Kyle has to say because I feel like he wants to step in on this right here.
Absolutely.
So, first of all, I'm just going to say one thing about Robbie Anderson. He's on my fantasy team.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry.
I-
I'm sorry that he is.
We just choked
There's
on you.
no, but my point is this: there's 3 guys that I played over him. He's not even my flex.
Wow.
He's a flex wide receiver. He's a wide receiver 3.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? A fringe wide receiver 3 at that.
Yeah.
We should not pay him any money other than market value. And if not, good luck with another team, and we'll see you on the flip side. He is a totally incomplete wide receiver. Just like Brian said, he is not a possession receiver at all. You look at a guy like Thielen, who is a comparison with Robbie Anderson because they're both UFAs. And this guy just had 7 games with 100 yards receiving. And he already has 65 receptions this year.
Well,
Right?
excuse me for the layman here. Could you explain what a UFA is? Just
Unrestricted
just-
free
agent.
I knew what
He
it
was
was.
no, not an unrestricted.
He's trying
He
to
was
help the
an-
viewing audience. I see you, B. Thank you.
He was an undrafted free agent.
Right.
Both of them were undrafted free agents, just like Wayne Corbett back in the day.
Mhm.
And this
Number
guy,
80, Wayno, former teammate, baby.
this guy's breaking records. So with that said, Robbie Anderson, take him or leave him right now. I love his deep threat ability, but it's complementary to another 1 or 2 good receivers, or maybe another good receiver and another really good tight end.
Thank you,
So,
Kyle. Thank you,
yeah.
because I was going to say the same thing. He is a complimentary wide receiver.
Sure.
I'm going to say it again. He plays like a horse, not a gazelle. He doesn't have any combination. He's one or the other, and that other is the horse. Secondly, last year, if we were to look at him last year, at his peak, which is where he was last year, he peaked out as a wide receiver too. He is not a star wide receiver. So, Kyle, yes, I do agree with you. We pay him what the market value is, and his market value will be on the downward side this year because the system that he's in, we're not throwing it to him that much, and when we do throw it to him, he's not producing as much.
My question is this. I think if Kerry's right, then he's a restricted free agent. So at the end of the day, if we're paying him market value, you have the opportunity to put a first round, second round, third round, fourth round tender on Robbie Anderson. And what kind of tender would you put?
I'm not going any higher than a fourth if they do that. I'm not giving him a 1, 2, or a 3.
Wow,
not for Robbie.
Wow. I mean, me personally, I'd put a 2. But
that's me, bro.
That's me.
No way.
That's me.
I'm telling you,
personally, I'd put it 2.
Well, I mean, what's the problem with putting a 2 on him? Nobody's going to sign him,
right? But it was how much you pay him, and then you're going to pay a restricted free agent wide receiver.
Well, if you put a 2
I don't know what that number is.
If you put a 2 on him, you got to pay a higher number.
You got to pay a higher number.
4, yeah.
I'm just saying, nobody's going to give you a 2 for him. So that's
I hear that
rationale
right as well. I was just equating his value just from looking at it by itself, like he's not worth a 2. But hey, listen, whatever's going to benefit my team, I'm with it.
And then you got to pay him second round money though.
I got him.
Go ahead.
I have a memo for the Jets equipment guy. You
can't start off like that without hearing some laughter.
Man.
Go ahead, man.
All right, so you got 3 Roberts on the team today. All right, and each one of them, should have a first initial. Right. And furthermore, you have 2 D Roberts on the team today. So you should have had a first and second letter of first name on
said first name.
I would say probably Deontay Roberts because it's DE. Daryl Roberts is DA. And then Andre should have an A in front of his name. So we might be able to tell between all these JV Roberts that we had on the field today.
Wow.
And I guarantee you one of those Roberts is like the second or like a junior. I'm just saying. So he could have saved himself some trouble, you know what I'm saying? By at least putting a junior in there or the third or whatever it is. One of them has got to be. Just play the law of averages.
I mean, the numerical roster, it must look like the phone book.
Oh, man. And he just got the equipment guy fired, too. Come on, McKenna.
No. Shout out to the equipment guy. He gave me the shirt I'm wearing. If it's the same guy from a few years ago, it's actually Mark Brunell's shirt that I'm wearing.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I think that 3 quarters, with the people that we put out there today, and I only say JV, these are professional football players. I have respect for each and every one of them. They are pros. Of course. Andre Roberts is very good at what he's there to do, which is not play slot receiver. He's there to play kick returner.
Yeah.
And he's pretty good at that.
He had a poor game today, but I am happy with what he has brought to this team.
Yes.
And to walk it back a little bit, even Daryl Roberts, he's like a Marcus Williams or somebody like that from years past that is going to provide us with good depth. And he got good playing time today.
Overall, I think he had a pretty good game. I mean, to be, a backup thrust into that position today against this team, I think he did a pretty good job.
I definitely
he did a better job on the Thielen play that Thielen scored on than Claiborne did on the Robinson one that he scored on.
Exactly.
And Claiborne tipped the ball. That was an incredible catch. That was an incredible catch and throw.
But Kerry, this is your number one.
Both throws were incredible.
I understand that. Your number one DB is going to get beat once in a while. But my point was that it wasn't like he was totally out of position.
He didn't get totally toasted. I mean,
no, absolutely not. Yeah. He was there. He was with the ball. He tipped the ball, as a matter of fact. The guy just made a great play on it. I just, look, I get it.
Also, I think that Robbie Anderson got PI'd on the one that he got hurt on. I thought that was a clear PI.
Absolutely.
You can't throw the ball at the ref, man. Like this dude has baggage already. I probably wouldn't invest in him long term just because he's very hot under the collar. He puts himself in bad positions a lot of the time, more so than he does puts you in a good position. I like I said, I love his big playability, but that's kind of where it begins and ends.
Can I tell you who else, and you guys may not have noticed, but I have, who I've noticed is a little hot under the collar and who will also put you in bad positions? Number 43, Parry Nickerson. I've noticed that about him. I've noticed that he can be a little bit over emotional. And he'll get a penalty called on him quick in the worst situation as well.
Yeah, I saw that in Detroit.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about yourself.
No, man, I'm as cool as a fan, baby. I'm as cool as a fan. You see this right here? Check it out. You see that right there? That's cool, man. That's cool.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, you know what that is. Cool and borderline good looking. Borderline.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to North Baldwin's Eddie Haller, who is watching right now. Chimed in on the Facebook comments the other day. Fellow with me Baldwin Cycle Racing Team alumni back in our BMX days.
BMX.
So he was also a really good wrestler at Baldwin too. So shout out to Ed Haller. What up, Eddie?
Nice. And let me piggyback off of that, Kyle. I want to give a shout out to an old elementary school brother of ours, Justin Sanick. Justin Sanick comments on our page all the time. He loves the show, but he's a rabid Giants fan. So before he says something positive about our show, he's got to start off by saying like 3 things negative. But he watches the show, and he's a huge fan. So my man Justin Sanick, great job. And Justin Sanick reminds me of a better-looking version of that kid in A Christmas Story. You know, the bully that Ralphie beat up? He looks like that kid. So, but you know what, Justin? But you're better looking than that kid, and you didn't have green teeth growing up, so good for you.
Oh, you were in his mouth like that?
No.
Funny.
It's the eyes. I think it's just the eyes that they have. So he always no, but Sanick was a great dude, and he lived right next to Alita Campbell back in the day, where I used to dunk on Brian all the time. Yeah.
Whatever.
There's a lot of fights on that
too.
Whatever.
Yeah, there's a couple fights there too.
Hobie fought about 10 people there.
Yeah, Hobie fought DDA there. I remember that one.
Yeah.
What kind of a fight was that?
The family.
Very interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Hobie and DDA.
Yeah, it was a decent
First of
square
all,
off.
It actually was. There was a lot of excitement, man. There was things going on there.
Oh my God.
Some things going on there. But anyway,
Some things going on there.
So
anyway,
I would have paid to see that. That was,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
I love Hobie, but Hobie had a way of getting under people's skin.
Oh,
What? I mean, that's an
He
understatement.
still
Yeah,
does.
that's an
And I haven't
understatement.
seen him in 2 years.
I had a fight. I had a full-on fist fight with him outside of the gym in the junior high.
Oh, you did?
Because he said something that tweaked me.
Right. He's probably snapping on you for some reason.
Then did the fight pique you?
Hey, Kyle, I had a full-on fight with Hobie at Plaza School because he kicked me in the face.
I think if you polled most of your friends, they would all say the same thing. I had a full-on fight with Hobie.
With Hobie.
Yeah. Let's give a shout out to Natasha Nolte Brown. Natasha Nolte.
Nalty, what Nalty? Yeah, man. Natasha.
Everybody
Nolte.
gets a shout out.
Anybody with a hyphenated name gets a shout out.
That's right. All right. So getting back to the business, man. Second round tenders, by the way, for 2018 was 2.9 million. All right. So it's not like an exorbitant amount of money. Just as a FYI.
Copy that.
We have so much money under the cap. That's
Yeah,
another
I
thing.
take an extra second round pick.
Sure. Sure.
Hey, because we need it because we gave them all away, man.
Right.
We gave them all away. We totally
We
need it.
love giving away second round picks.
We love it.
For this French guy, Darno. We gave him
I just saved Darno this time. See? Come on.
Sounds
man.
like somebody. He sounds like somebody that you'd meet at like a pâtisserie or something like that, you know, or like a little French cafe,
Oh,
you know.
definitely at a hockey game.
right. Like
Definitely
French
at a hockey.
fry.
The Maple Leafs.
Oh yeah. Oh. You call them French Canadians, so that means he would want to drink a pint of what is it called? Le Beau, whatever that French beer. All right, whatever, forget it.
Oh, Labatt.
Labatt, yes.
He said LeBeau.
Oh yeah. Hey, hold on. Sit down and have a pint of Labatt, eh? You freaking hoser.
Oh man.
Sorry, Canadians. Appreciate it. My bad.
We love you. All
Yes,
right.
we love you. But
We're
yeah,
trending down in Canada. We're trending down.
I know. Yeah.
We peeking, we tweaking, what we doing?
You know what we're gonna do? I just want to get an overall synopsis of what we need to do to move forward, to getting back to a 500 record next week when we play the Chicago Bears, because their defense, I think, is better than the Minnesota Vikings, and we might have some problems. And what are we gonna do for the lack of receivers? Like,
Their
are they
offense
coming?
isn't half bad either.
No,
I
it's
know.
not.
Guy Trubisky's throwing it all over the place.
Yeah.
Who wants to start?
I'll
Are we?
start. I'll start.
Are we playing at Chicago or at home?
At
At
Chicago.
At Chicago.
The Bears.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think again, I think we need to get better. We get more consistent quarterback play. I think that's where it starts and ends. I know we're going to be understaffed again. Hopefully we can get Screen and Jermaine Johnson back in the secondary. But as it looks like right now, I think Powell was out for the game.
Neck injury.
Had a neck injury.
Yeah.
And
Never good.
Williamson, who slotted in at safety to replace to replace
Middleton, you're talking about.
Middleton. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Middleton.
Middleton and Brooks.
Who replaced our safety. May was out as well for the rest of the game after the third quarter. So guys, we're gonna be understaffed again. And what do we do at the wide receiver position after releasing Pryor?
We brought on one of Darnold's buddies.
Oh, that kid.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we do, right? So I'm going to tell you what we don't do.
But he didn't. But did he get in the game?
Yeah, he did and dropped the pass.
Oh, there you go.
That I saw. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
At the end of the game,
Yeah.
was that
Yep.
number 16 or something like that?
Yep.
Number 18.
And Pete comes in and drops a pass and it gets intercepted. No.
Yep.
Yeah. Come
Yep.
on, man.
At the end of the game.
So again, the question was, what are we gonna do? We got to get healthier, and I don't know how you can do that in a matter of a few days. But what I would focus on is getting Darnold back to his fundamentals. Take the week, get him back to his fundamentals. Stop making sure that he stops throwing it into those small windows and sets his feet before he releases. I think that's the way you're gonna have the most impact here.
I think the thing that bothers me the most about this is the fact that the pass protection from the O-line was pretty decent today,
Absolutely.
and then Darnold still wasn't setting his feet. So that's it kind of concerns me a little bit.
Right.
But when you were saying what we should do, get healthy, and we sign someone, I'm going to tell you what we should not do. We should not sign Des Bryant.
No.
I don't want to even consider.
I wouldn't even
that
brought it
cancer.
up. I wouldn't have even brought it up.
Exactly, because you don't even want that cancer anywhere near our team, and I
No.
totally get where you're coming from.
No.
Hold on
I got
a second.
you.
Hold on a second. Why is Des Bryant a cancer at this point on our team? I can understand how you might feel like from his Cowboys days. The guy is a free agent. He's more than capable. And what would it actually cost us? It's like we don't have to pay the salary that he was guaranteed. You got to pay a veteran minimum.
No, I don't even
for
think,
him, and it would be prorated.
So Kyle, I don't even think it's the how much we're going to pay him or any of those other things. It's the attitude. I just his attitude, demeanor, being demonstrative on the sidelines with our rookie quarterback. I just don't think that gels at this point in time. If we had the Patriots locker room, okay, that's different. It's established. We'd be able to bring somebody in and he fall in line with what we do. But I think our culture, we're developing it, and it's still a little. It's not
fragile.
It's definitely fragile to the point where you add like a Des Bryant to that. I don't think it's the right thing to do at this point.
Robbie Anderson threw a ball to ref today.
Well, do you want to cut him?
Right, and do you want to bring somebody else?
Do you want to bring somebody else in to do that too? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That's
I don't think we're giving Des Bryant the benefit of the doubt as a professional at this point in his life. I don't think that first of all, how many chances does he have right now? If he comes in and does his work, and I'll bring up Brandon Marshall as an example of someone who had that reputation before he came to the Jets, and throughout his tenure with the Jets, he was pretty well behaved. He had a good year, and then he had a bad year, but he didn't didn't act the fool when he had the bad year.
So
what I would say also, Kyle, is that we're not the only ones that need receiver help, and nobody else is sniffing his way. And that's part of the reason for that is he keeps his mouth open and he's constantly talking about it before he's even signed.
And his fingers are always doing the talking too, because
Right.
he stays on Twitter.
I don't necessarily want that around my locker room right now.
And I think again, it's not something against Des Bryant in general. I think that he's a pretty darn good football player. Now I thought he's lost a step or 5 at this point, so he's more of a
In the
possession
NFL,
guy.
you can't lose 5 steps. Let's just say he lost a step. 5, you got to retire.
He can't. Well, he's in street clothes, but
Yeah, okay.
But he can absolutely do what Pryor was supposed to be doing when we signed him right now. I would definitely say that.
Pryor was running a 4.2 when he came in the league.
Yeah,
Pryor
but
was 6'4".
he wasn't running a 4.2. He wasn't running a 4.2 when he was playing with us before he got that groin injury.
No, and he hurt his ankle and all those other
Right.
things.
So
but,
my point is, if just him being the receiver with the numbers that he can possibly bring in, I say absolutely do it. What I'm saying is that what's preventing me from going in is his attitude and the possible effect that it would have on this quarterback and this team as an overall.
yeah, I don't think we disagree.
I agree
there.
with you too.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And just to, basically add on, honestly, on my team, I'd be hesitant about signing Odell Beckham because he plays well and does well when the team isn't struggling as much. But when the team is struggling, then that's when this cancer that I was saying starts to come out. And I think it's the same thing with Dez. Dez is a veteran. I feel like Dez is a pro. I think he's still a good receiver, but this team is too young. And to bring him in there and I just think that he would add a negative effect. But like what Brian said, the New England Patriots, they're already established. Why do you think they were able to bring in Josh Gordon and not bat an eye? Josh Gordon was addicted to drugs and he had issues. He missed like a solid 2-3 years of the NFL. And then today, I think he put up 100-yard day. And you haven't heard a peep out of this guy since he's been in New England. And that's because they have the framework to bring someone like that in and not have them not affect their team. And Tom Brady, who was the leader of this team, Sam Darnold is trying to be like him, but he's not there yet because he's only a rookie. So it would have more of a negative effect if we were to bring Dez in. And I'm not saying Dez is anything like Josh Gordon, but I do look at Dez as more of a negative than a positive to my overall team.
The bottom line with Josh Gordon is that he's still addicted to drugs because you're always addicted once you're an addict. And the second he falls off the wagon or he acts out, they'll cut him. And they won't even bat an eye on that either because that organization only cares about production. It doesn't care about anything else.
Sure.
They take dudes like Richard Seymour and Jones, and they send them off when they're no longer valuable to them. They are as cold as ice, like Foreigner.
Sure.
So
hold on, wait. Let me laugh. Hold on a second. That was a good one. Kyle, you're batting 1,000
the
today.
pain
I love it.
of Christ.
Like,
That was so.
you know that you are.
That
know
was
that.
great. That was great.
But when we line up 5 wide, we are not intimidating anyone
At all.
Who who are we? Who are the Jets to think they're gonna get convert a third down with the guys that we're lining up? The Deontay, we're lining up two of our Roberts, a Tomlinson.
You are in rare form, my man. All right,
Zinger.
Roberts Jr., Roberts the third, and then Daryl Roberts with the 2 R's in Daryl.
Wait. But you call him Day Day. But you call him Day Day.
Oh my God.
Fizdale left coast is in rare form today.
Oh my goodness.
That is right. That's right.
A lot of good coffee.
A lot of good. Yeah, you're out there in that Pacific Northwest, home of Starbucks. The pack,
All right,
I'm thinking that.
But yeah,
Go ahead,
so
but just get back to what we were talking about, though. I mean, which is what we need to do for Chicago, and just stop making mistakes.
That's gonna be tough, man.
Well, listen, what I'm saying. So Long, snap the ball to the quarterback.
Right.
You know what? Hold on a second.
Snap the ball to the quarterback.
Say that. That's mine.
I'm just. Listen, man. I have to.
I'm gonna get on this.
You asked.
I'm gonna get on this kid's case.
I mean, we'll get on it, but I gotta scream that into the microphone.
Well, I'm gonna
snap
get on
the ball 2 games in a row.
For real.
Come on, man.
Something's wrong with his finger. It's his finger.
Whatever, man. You know what I'm saying? Figure it out. Break it and get a new one. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous, man. That just bothers the heck out of me. You got the punter, who drops the ball, doesn't realize there's no rush. I mean, I get it.
If you're gonna do this, you gotta play that music. Then you know what I'm saying? You might as well, bro.
But then I'm taking everybody serious. All right, so let me just holistically say we need to stop making mistakes, and then I'm gonna go into the peak me, tweak me music. If you give me
that's the second time Brian said holistically in this podcast.
How do you do that? In one.
You got them off the market medicine or something
in 36 minutes.
The holistic aesthetic.
I love it.
I'm going to take this break this intermission to play the Tweak Me, Peak Me music.
Yeah. All right, guys. So this is the Peak Me, Tweak Me segment of our show. This is where we talk about things that we loved about the game or about our Jets or about anything in general.
I heard you.
And then we talk about things that we totally dislike or tweak us. All right. So the name of this segment is called Peak Me and Tweak Me. So I already got a little fired up, so I don't even want to start it off.
Yeah, I'm gonna go last.
So, you know what? Hey, Kyle, why don't we go to you, my brother? Why don't we go to you?
He's already fired up.
And talk about it.
Right.
I have put some of my tweaks out there already as far as my the Roberts brothers and everything. So
Roberts brothers,
Steps brothers.
I'm gonna start with a peak, just to keep things a little bit more on the positive. Yeah, the uniforms piqued me. I like the uniforms.
Ooh, Kyle, that's a nice.
Yeah, I did.
Green. It's a nice Kelly green. I
like the black stripes. I like the black stripes.
Yep.
I like the.
You are reaching. This is what's called a reach. By the way,
a glossy Kelly green
uniform.
That's how you know your team lost too. By the way,
yeah,
because you have nothing.
He looks good in his pad.
Not that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to be tweaked about. I'm so tweaked by the fact that Todd Bowles didn't challenge on the safety. It was so clear on the replay that Kirk Cousins' entire body.
I thought it was just me.
Went down in the end zone. We finished the half with 3 timeouts, meaning that we didn't even use a timeout in the entire half.
Right.
And we didn't challenge. Now, conservatively, you could say the catch that they may have challenged later, the one that Stephon Diggs kind of trapped. That could have gone either way.
Yeah.
But
they reviewed that one though. They reviewed that one.
I thought you meant to catch Robbie Anderson.
Yeah. I thought that's what I thought the one you meant.
Oh yeah, that's what I got mixed up.
Okay.
But the safety was clearly a safety. And
I said that, but the announcers didn't even say it, Kyle. This is the other thing too. Nobody else made a comment. They didn't even comment on it. So I don't even know. If they looked at it again, the announcers looked at it again. But I know I immediately texted you guys like, "What is going on? Is it me or there's no?" Why aren't they looking at this? At least looking at this.
So what's the rule? Just so that we're clear, and I'll leave that to you, McKenna.
So if his knee went down outside of the end zone, then the ball would be placed on 1 yard line. It doesn't work the same way as a touchdown where the ball has to break the plane kind of thing when it's going the opposite way. You have to completely be down in the end zone. So they didn't blow a whistle for forward progress being stopped because there was no forward progress.
No. He
was moving backwards the entire time.
Yeah.
I wish we could pull it up and look at it right now because
But-
it was clear as day to me.
Right. What I saw was that
but-
his knee was on the line and the ball was in the end zone.
Yes.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, it was clearly a safety, and that's the big thing about that is, all right, let's say you challenge that and you lose. All right, all you lose is a timeout. You win that challenge, you get points and the ball. So you have just taken away a possession
And
Right.
momentum.
and momentum, which is equal to a turnover that you
Right.
may have gotten or not gotten. So the that really tweaked me, and I think that out of everybody on the podcast, I'm the one that's the least critical of Todd Bowles. I would say maybe it's because of my being a coach and everything like that. Like I don't throw it onto him as much as maybe I should, but that's clearly on him. That's clearly on him. He has 5+ guys up in the booth that could tell him to review that. It's like, remember when we had Herm Edwards, there was always an issue with clock management. And then he got the Jimmy Ray guy who was going to come in and do all the clock management for him.
Jimmy Ray.
Yeah.
RAYE, by the way.
RAYE.
Yeah.
But that always tweaked us back then. And it tweaked everybody for the most part. But
Right. And I went up you with the end of the first half, and what, like you said, him challenging the Dix play, but not calling a timeout before he did it, because when he lost all of that time on the clock, and we had the ball.
Yeah.
And they didn't score. So we stopped them three. You know what I mean? They stopped them 3 times within our 30-yard line with turnovers, and they don't score at the end of the half, and you don't call a timeout to try to reverse the field. I just don't. I don't get it.
I mean, my personal philosophy with clock management is that you have 3 timeouts per half. Don't be afraid to use one
early
whenever you need it early, and try to save 2 for a 2-minute drill at the end of the half.
Yeah.
Because in essence, the clock is going to stop at 2 minutes, so you still have 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in high school, it's a 4-minute warning, and and depending on the state you're playing in, you don't necessarily get a stop of the clock. They'll give you the 4-minute warning when the clock, like the closest it is to 4 minutes, when the clock is next stopped. So when you're going into that, just like you said, when you're going into that possible 2-minute drill, your most likely scenario is about a minute and change. If you can go into it with 2 timeouts, and if you can get around that 2-minute warning and get that third stoppage of the clock, you got a lot to work with, no matter where you get the ball. And most starting offensive possessions, even on the bad end, are usually plus on the minus 35. You don't. If you're going to start a 2-minute drill when you're backed up inside the 10, you have a different thought process. If you're getting the ball on the minus 35 and you got 65 yards to go, and you are and you got enough timeouts and you got enough time on the clock, you're good to go. So why not challenge that? And maybe he got bad intel. Maybe somebody didn't tell him. But
that happens too much.
Somebody should have.
Well, if it's a bad intel thing, that means they need to get rid of that person.
Give him some binoculars or something, man. I don't know what the heck is going on, man.
Seriously,
why
because
don't you
it's
do
happening
yours?
too much. It's just happening with just way too much. So, if I may step in with my tweak me and peak me,
All right,
I'm going to start off with peak me. I don't have that much to say, but overall, I do think that the O-line, I guess me being a lineman, I'm just so used to watching the offensive and defensive linemen and picking them apart. I do think the overall protection, pass protection, and even somewhat run blocking, even though we didn't have that many yards running because we didn't run it as much as I think that we usually do. I think that the line did a pretty good job today. I felt like Sam was definitely on his feet a lot more than, say, on his back. I think his errant throws were mostly on him or on the inexperience of the receivers that were coming in, because our receivers, We had a lot
Yeah.
of subs coming in,
A lot.
and I think it was a combination of that, and maybe he lacked trust in them or lacked reps with them, or him feeling like, all right, I have all of these guys out, and I need to put it more on my shoulders. That could have affected his rookie mentality and his rookie approach. He just needs more reps, of course. But yeah, I think the O line did a pretty good job. I also feel like Herndon did a pretty good job as well. He scored a touchdown.
Yeah, he did.
He had another catch on the sideline that was a good one, and then he almost scored a second one. So every time he scores, I always give a shout out to Kerry because that's Kerry's guy.
Yeah, that's my
Who,
peak me, so I'll
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about it later.
exactly.
Yo,
So
real quick, Brandon.
yeah.
I'm going to
Go
give a
ahead.
shout out to the girl in my lap right now because she watched at least one quarter of the Jet game with me today,
Nice.
and she was saying, "Daddy, what happened? What happened? Who's the green team? Who's the green team?"
Nice.
Because she was also very piqued by the uniforms, that certain shade of Kelly green.
Nice.
Nice. I wish my son would watch the game with me, but he doesn't like the Jets, and I'm I'm the reason because he could not stand me at such a young age yelling out, "Come on, Sanchez!" So Mark Sanchez, you ruined my son's relationship with the New York Jets. He's not a
Oh my
Jets fan, so
gosh.
I'm here solo in the house, being a
Mark
Jets fan. Yeah,
Sanchez
thanks a
ruined a
lot.
lot of things for a lot of people.
Yeah, you
Sure.
did.
Sure.
So now moving on from my peak me.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Just one other thing about the peak me that I want to add on to. I happen, and this doesn't really have to do anything with the Jets, but I happen to really like Chris Spielman as a commentator.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to him watching the Jets game and watching. I'm like, this guy really knows what he's talking about. Former NFL football player, former inside linebacker out of Ohio State. Always liked him coming up and
Yeah.
respected him. And he was a hard hitter, hard nosed kind of guy. And I just thought that his approach to the game was really good, very cerebral, and then also very just in your face about it. Like, no, I'm against this rule, and he and here are my thoughts about this and this and this and that. So I really liked it. It's better than like like a Joe Buck or whatever.
Oh, I
And
hate Joe Buck.
yeah.
Everybody hates on Joe Buck.
So I really hope that he continues to flourish in this. And I like Chris Spielman a lot. He's a really good commentator.
Let
Um,
me add something real quick
go
about
ahead.
Chris Spielman too. Who played inside linebacker with him all those Thanksgivings that we watched him play for the Detroit Lions? None other than Stephen Boyd from Valley Stream Central.
Yep. Mhm.
Boston College linebacker that was his partner in crime. So I actually was thinking about that when I was thinking, like, similar to you, like, oh, I like Chris Spielman. I like what he's saying. And I can't believe how many Thanksgivings I've watched the Detroit Lions play football.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of similar thought.
Yeah, man. That's a good piece of knowledge right there. And then now on the tweak me, all right, our tight end Tomlinson, I'm over him now.
Over. Over
I
it.
want to release him. He's all penalties or drop passes and subpar blocking, and he stays on the team because of his blocking. But I see him miss a lot of blocks. If he's not missing a block, he's getting a holding call or an offsides call, and I'm just over this guy. And and then they're gonna throw screens to him, like throw a screen to Herndon, throw a screen to Leggett. Don't throw a screen to this guy. I'm just seeing a lot of bad plays outshine his one or two good plays that I've seen throughout the years that we've had him. And honestly, I'm over him. We can maybe try to get Clive Wolford back in because he's a type of tight end who's kind of big but also good soft hands and can also block. Maybe trading those two out, but I'm totally over him. And then also Long, our center, number 61. This guy just really tweaks me. I think he has like maybe 3 snapping errors from shotgun position in each game. I don't think Nick Mangold in his entire career with the New York Jets has had this many shotgun faux pas as this guy has in the first 7 games of the year.
I agree.
And also, this just allows you to see how important the center position is on the offensive line. You have the ball. You touch the ball before anyone else, before the quarterback does. And you're also calling out defensive fronts. And you're throwing off the quarterback's concentration when you do this. You're going to throw, it's going to hit off the side of your leg. You're going to throw it way over the quarterback's head. You're going to throw it in the dirt. And it's just like, this cannot happen. And this cannot happen multiple times a game because now the center is thinking about you. He should never be thinking about you. He should be thinking about his reads and his progressions, but now he's got to think about you first, then the ball coming to him, then he can start to think about playing quarterback, and that is too much. So I think he's a decent blocker, but I don't know. Maybe move him to guard because he can also play guard and maybe find a center. And that's another reason why I wanted to draft one of those top 3 centers that we had in this draft, whether it be Price from Ohio State, that Razorback, I forget his name, Ragnow.
Yeah. But we abused the first game of the year.
That's true, but you know what? He wasn't playing center. He was playing guard. And then also the kid from Iowa, and I forget who he plays for. He's more of an athletic center. I wanted one of those 3 guys so bad, and then now we got this guy, and he's got a lot of either penalties or missed snaps, and that really, really, really tweaks me out because if you're going to affect the development of our young quarterback, I mean, come on, man. We just can't have it. We need to create an environment where our quarterback can continue to grow. And I don't want the center ruining that. And I think he's kind of having a negative effect on our quarterback. So that tweaks me.
Agreed.
The extra head nod at the end.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
All right, so Kerry, you going or is it me?
You can go. I'll go last because a lot of what was already said is mine.
All right, so what piques me? So listen, I think the defense for 3 quarters piqued me. I didn't think that we could stay with this team defensively. You know, their offense was out there. You got Thielen, you got Diggs, you got just their offense in general. I thought was really gonna run over us. And when you had 3 DBs out that were starters, and include that in the whole mix of things, there was no way. So when the first touchdown happened, I was like, I didn't even blink. Like, all right, well, I guess we see what kind of day this is going to be, right? But then after that, we slowed them down, and then for the rest of that first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter, they scored 13 points against us outside of that first touchdown. So we slowed them down and gave the offense enough, kept us in the game, and the offense just couldn't keep up. They just couldn't at all. So again, the defense, I think really, they came up and stepped up to the challenge, at least for 3 quarters. The rails came off in the fourth, right? But a lot of that had to do with turnovers.
Correct. We were able to sort of minimize the damage for the turnovers in the first half when we turned the ball. We turned the ball over in our side of the field 3 times, and they came away with no points. So. Right. To capitalize on your point.
Yeah. No, those are great points that you're saying, and that just speaks to, again, the defensive effort for 3 quarters, man. I'll take that all day, every day, especially against a team like that.
JV, and especially with your JV team,
absolutely.
Air quotes, especially with your JV team in there, and then it becomes a question of how long can you expect your air quotes JV team, defensive team, to go out there and perform at a high level for all 4 quarters. Offense, you're going to have to step in there and score some points to take the pressure off of them.
Or at least not put yourself in a position of default constantly.
Right. Yeah, and I guess from what tweaked me is just mistakes, man. And I kind of went on that rant and on a little bit of tangent earlier, but it's the same. It's what Brandon discussed and what I was talking about earlier, just with the snaps. Like that, you just can't have that, man. And it's been game after game after game with that, and you're killing drives with that play. It's drop passes from your starters. I mean, the people were talking about Crowell and the other folks that drop passes. Some of those were starters just dropping passes. Peak, Sharon Peak coming in. This is your opportunity. Bounces off the shoulder pad, interception. So that's going to go on Darnold's record because it's 3 picks. But really, that was on Peak, man. No wonder on the bench, right? Not a starter, right? And then he's showing that when you have the opportunity, you got to be able to take advantage of that. These are NFL players. They get NFL salaries. So even if you're on the bench and you're second string, you should be able to catch the ball, from that perspective. And just, Darnold too, man, he had opportunities to put the ball there and he really didn't. And I don't know if it was the wind as well. I mean, Meadowlands is notorious for the swirling winds and stuff, and he's not used to that. I'm not making excuses, but maybe that's something that he has to get used to playing at the Meadowlands come, whatever. And they were talking about the degrees, and he hadn't played in a game below 40 degrees before and all of that kind of stuff. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
You're playing New York right now. You're playing, so you're playing at Meadowlands Stadium. Or MetLife Stadium, you have to be able to do what you need to do. And that's really what it is. And I say this at the beginning. I'll say this today again. It's not that you lose, it's the way that you lose. And the mistakes that we made is just, it's crazy. We're not going to win any games if we're making those types of mistakes in Chicago next week or any game for the rest of the year. So hopefully we'll be able to turn it around and pick it up next week.
Yeah, so quickly, I want to reiterate the, what's piquing me, and that is Herndon. I wanted to see this guy develop. I wanted to see this guy become an option with Darnold, develop that rapport, which is also a French word, Darnold, with my guy Herndon, and it's happening. It's
happening.
Their development together.
He's alive.
It's going on, man. It's going on. I see it. And I agree. We need to release Tomlinson, and maybe have Leggett have a bigger role and develop into the player that he was supposed to be when we drafted him. So that's my peak me. My tweak me is the center position and us not getting what we need from it, and it being on the flip side, stunting the growth of our quarterback. I will go back to the last game and say that the pass that he threw, when I say he, I'm talking about Darnold, threw to Robbie Anderson, I think it was an interception off the back foot, which that started with the center snapping the ball low. So he had to recover. Darnold had to recover, and he threw a pass off his back foot. And as a result, I think it was either picked off or it was incomplete. But it could have gone for a big play.
I mean, he caused the fumble. He caused the fumble too, because he had to, it was a low snap. And Darnold had to handle it and then immediately give it off. Right. And then next thing you know, it was a fumble. It was on the carpet. So
So again, you can't be, if you're going to be on this team, you have to be, your position has to be, we are trying to develop this quarterback. And if you are the detriment to this quarterback, to our 15 to 18 year investment, then you might have to go. You might have to go. But again,
time to go.
I like him other than the fact that he is being penalized, and he is, especially in inopportune situations. I mean, in the beginning, I think the first half we had 5 penalties for 61 yards. You can't be giving up that amount of real estate in the beginning of the game.
Well, listen,
you start
the refs
from
tweaking
behind.
me too, man. The refs are tweaking me.
Especially to a good team.
Oh, they were tweaking me too, man. They weren't holding on them at all.
They weren't holding on them. But again, the penalties that we were incurring on ourselves. I mean, you can't blame them for that. I mean,
that's true.
They were clear penalties. So again, I go back to that center position. If he's not doing what we need him to do, then we got to switch his behind the guard and find a center. Again,
let's get Wesley Johnson back in here.
Because he is not.
I know you're kidding.
Right.
We can switch him to Gone too.
No.
We can also switch him to Gone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we got that position that's available.
Yeah, but again, we need the depth. We need the depth. And as long as he's not snapping the ball, Again, I think he's a capable blocker. I definitely see that. But is he capable of being the quarterback of our offensive line?
And
the
you know what
answer to
makes
that
it
right
seem
now
like
doesn't look like it.
And you know what makes it seem worse? The type of offense we run is like a zone read offense, which requires a little bit of space that you create with a shotgun formation so that you can read, and like every third snap is going to be like a bad snap. You're basically self-destructing the offense. Like
Right.
something's got to be done.
Absolutely.
Something's got to be done.
He's no Billy Comber.
No, not at all,
He's
man.
he's no Billy Comber. He's no Steve Sebastian. He's not that guy. You know what I'm saying? Shout outs to Billy Comber and Steve Sebastian. Steve Sebastian was my man on the right side of the line, by the way. Number 66, Steve Sebastian. Yeah, man. So, hey, listen, we just kind of segued lovely because we started talking about Baldwin players. But, Kerry, you are our contact because your son plays for the Baldwin Bruins now.
The correspondent even.
Yes, the correspondent even, right? For the Baldwin Bruins. So
they had a tough loss on Saturday.
They did, huh?
Definitely a toss. I think it was a 2-touchdown differential. It was tied going into the third quarter.
And by the way, folks, Baldwin played Massapequa this past weekend.
Right.
And that's what Kerry's talking about.
Right. It was a tweak, is what it was, not a peak. that's a tweak, yeah. But our coach called a very good game, a very, very good game, a game that was capable of winning that contest, and we just couldn't pull it out in the end. I mean, we made some poor choices in playing press coverage against a receiver that we had no business playing press coverage against, and they just had too many weapons, and we were soft in the middle. And when I'm saying the middle, I'm talking about on that defensive front. We were down our left starting offensive tackle who could have definitely helped us out on the defensive side of the ball. But again, they're in playoff contention. They win tomorrow. They win on Saturday. Then they're 5-3, and they're in the top 8. So anything can happen in the playoffs. They can win anywhere. They can win They can win on any field if they are properly prepared and they have everybody ready.
What seed are they right now?
Right now, they're probably a 6 seed, 6-7. But that's where they'll stay if they win. That's where they'll end up staying if they win.
Okay.
So they're 4-3 right now. If they win, we'll be 5-3, correct?
Right.
And then in playoff consideration.
Right. They're definitely the top 8 make it to the playoffs, and they'll be in the top 8. I have no question about that.
As we posted earlier on the week on the Facebook page and on the alumni page, I had the unique opportunity to write an article about Coach Carroll for a magazine down in Texas called Friday Night Football, Coaches Magazine, and that article was previewed this week. It's going to be published in the magazine. It's a Legends article about Coach Carroll, talking about how his style has changed over the years, but just an awesome opportunity and thing to do that that sheds a little light on our guy. The guy, well, at least for he was your assistant coach, Kerry, right?
Coach Carroll?
Yeah.
No, he was actually the JV coach my senior year. It was Coach Shippos my senior year, and then the year after he stepped in as head coach of the varsity.
Yeah. So I got to learn some things like his overall record. He was 158 and wins and 104 losses at the time of publishing. I think it's up to 162 now.
Not bad. It's not bad.
When you add, I mean, it's hard to get 100 wins as a high school coach. He's approaching 2. So 33 years, 32 at Baldwin and 1 at St. Dominic's in Oyster Bay. But it's cool. The article looks great in the magazine and everything, and I'm really happy that they did it.
Well, let me just add on. First of all, it was an extremely well-written piece, Kyle. So,
Good job, Cap.
I'm going to give a big BKBK clap and applause for Captain Kyle McKenna,
soul clap.
That's right. Give it a soul clap. And you wrote a great piece for one of our guys, like you said. And God bless you, Coach Carroll. We love and respect you as well as the whole Baldwin
right,
football
Coach.
family down there.
That's right.
Your brother, Rich Carroll, the wizard, right? Defensive coordinator down there, Coach Clemens, and all the guys down there. So we just want to just big all of you up and just thank you for everything that you've provided us as far as us being Baldwinites, former players, and now that we are grown men with our own families and stuff. Just the values that were placed in our minds, hearts, and souls, just from the little piece of our life that we took from playing football. So just wanted to just thank you. And yeah, Kyle, great piece, man. So that was a great job. So I was proud to post that on our BKBK fan page. And we got a lot of response too. A lot of people were just clicking on it and reading it and just giving us shout outs on our fan page. So that's some really good work, man.
Good
really
job,
good
McKenna. Good
Yeah,
job.
Thank
totally.
you.
Awesome, buddy.
Yeah, man. So, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we always like to end our podcast with a little reflective nostalgia of Baldwin football. But we just want to thank everyone for watching another episode of the BKBK podcast. We want to be able to keep bringing you the latest news and viewpoints of where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. So keep watching. You can find us on Facebook on our BKBK podcast fan page. You can find us on Twitter on @BKBK podcast, on Instagram @BKBK podcast, as well as on YouTube. Just type in BKBK podcast, hit the like and the subscribe button to show the love. That's it. Let's go Jets. Let's go Baldwin Bruins. And let's go Team BKBK.